Welcome to another episode of Hive Mind Headlines, the podcast where we explore the people, ideas, and stories shaping learning across the district. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Tranberg, proud superintendent of the Branford Public Schools. As the school year comes to a close, summer offers all of us something we all need, a chance to pause, recharge, and reconnect with the things that matter most. In today's episode, we're talking about the importance of unplugging this summer, stepping away from the constant notifications, screens, and busy schedules to make room for rest, reflection, and meaningful connection. And one of the best ways to do that? Reading. Whether it's a book by the beach, a novel on the porch, an inspiring professional read, or finally diving into that title that's been sitting on your nightstand all year, reading has a unique way of slowing us down while expanding our thinking. Joining us for today's conversation are three incredible educational leaders from the Branford Public Schools: Allie Moran, Assistant Superintendent, Lisa Hernandez Corcoran, Director of Elementary Education, and Dr. Katie Wagner, Director of Secondary Education. Together, we'll discuss why unplugging matters for both adults and students, how we can encourage reading habits over the summer months, and what's currently on their own summer reading lists. We'll also hear from faculty and staff across the district as they share how they plan to unplug this summer, the small ways they hope to recharge, and the books they can't wait to open once the school year ends. So whether you're listening on a summer walk, in the car, or relaxing outside with a cup of coffee, we're glad you're here. Let's dive in. All right, Allie, Lisa, and Katie, welcome to the podcast. Glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
So to start, just for our listeners who might not know you, can you just say who you are, what your role is in the district, and how long you've been in Branford?
I'm Dr. Katie Wagner. I'm the Director of Secondary Education. I actually started in Branford in 2015 as an English language arts teacher, and this is my second year in the role as Director of Secondary Education.
My name is Lisa Hernandez Corcoran. I'm the Director of Elementary Education. This is actually my second year in this role, and I have found such a love for the people in Branford and the colleagues that I work with. I will say a quick shout out to all of my coaches because we can't do our work without you.
Hi, everyone. Allie Moran, Assistant Superintendent, and this is my third year here in Branford.
Wonderful. All right, so to get started, summer is right around the corner, and many people are excited, students and adults that work here alike. For me, I love the idea of unplugging a bit this summer, and I'm also a big reader. So the way I designed the questions today really to kind of go after the symbiosis that exists between those two things. So to start, can you just share some of your thoughts when thinking about kids and the importance of intentionally unplugging in the summer, and if it's important to you and why you might think it is or isn't?
I think it's really important for everyone to unplug, both adults and students to unplug this summer. I think adults play a really important role in modeling for children what healthy technology use looks like. Being present, being in the moment is so important, more now than ever when we have these little tiny computers at our disposal in our pockets at all times. So I would encourage parents, aunts, uncles, whoever you are as an adult role model to students, to children, just to unplug, put those devices away, and be present, whether you're picking up a book or just playing a game, relaxing on the beach, taking a walk, just take in the moments around you and put the technology down so that you can be more present in your daily life this summer.
Right. Other thoughts on that?
I would echo what Allie spoke to, and having two teenagers at home myself, it's something that as a parent I'm working on, but also working with students, in grades 5 through 12 and helping them to understand the importance of that balance that we're all navigating at the same time is really essential. We are looking forward to summer. It was a really long winter that we experienced here at Branford. And so that opportunity to be outside, reconnect with nature is on the list and, should be one that we can all experience here in Branford.
And I'll echo what both of you said, but one of the things I'd like to add on is also finding opportunities for joyful interactions with reading. Right. Reading doesn't just have to be a book. Reading can be directions. Reading can be comic books, but enjoying those joyful moments really does solidify that reading is something that we all do and that it's an important part of our lives.
Allie, you mentioned modeling. And so we know that modeling matters as an instructional tool and for many other reasons. So when we think about adults and lives, when it comes to actually reading, whether it's a book or like Lisa just mentioned, if it's reading a comic book or reading directions, why is modeling an important thing for kids to see when it comes to reading?
I think there's that old adage, do what I say and not as I do. And unfortunately, I think kids do what they see us doing. And so they mimic us, they want to be us, they emulate us, whether we are doing the right thing or not. So I think we need to be cognizant of that. And sitting down with a book on the beach is modeling that behavior that we want to see in our students, and we want to see in our children. And if we expect them to become lifelong readers, then we need to show them that as adults, we're still engaging with books and we're still reading. It's really important that we model that, the behavior that we want to see in them, because they will become little copycats.
So, what about when you run into a person or say someone's listening and they're just not a reader? And I just talked to someone the other day and I said, "Have you read?" I don't remember what the book was. And their response was not only did they not read it, but they're not a reader. Uh, there are people that don't love to read, but we know it's an important thing for kids to see. Are there ways or strategies that you would recommend to build reading habits, even if they're small, in the home?
One of the things I often recommend is really putting just an audiobook on in the car when you're taking a drive to the beach or if you're going away on vacation. Quite often, if you find a child's favorite movie, there is usually a book connected to that movie. So if you can find the audio book, that's a great way to hook kids into that world of reading.
Along those same lines, as a middle and high school educator, we'll often hear that sentiment, I'm not a reader. And I will always counter it with, you haven't found the right book yet, because there's something out there for everyone and for every interest. And what's exciting as you get older is you have a lot more choice and independence when it comes to what you're reading. So whether that be an audiobook or, something related to a future goal you might have. One of my own reluctant readers at home loves to learn about fishing. And so, that's a tool that I've used thinking about his interests and what may engage him in a way that, not he might not experience at school.
Have you noticed or heard about setting time aside being a strategy? So, like for 10 minutes a night, everyone in the family is going to sit and read. Is that something that's still recommended? Because this is, I'm kind of like turning back time on that as a strategy.
Absolutely. When you make it part of a routine, um, kids expect it, right? My daughters are now all grown and past college, but those are some of my most tender memories is before they went to bed at night. It would be pulling out the picture book and we would be sitting on the ground and reading the book together. And they still talk about it. They still talk about some of their favorite picture books. So creating that routine, that habit is also something that's really important because, again, if we go back to joy, those joyful moments transcend throughout the summer and into the school year.
So, in the spirit of joy, so we often talk about the importance of reading, but also developing a love of reading as early as possible because it's not just an academic skill, it's just something that helps us connect with other people. Uh, what are your thoughts on just things people can do? And Lisa, you already gave a couple of hints of like connecting to the movies. You both suggested audiobooks as well as another strategy. Are there other things that can be done to really instill really the love of reading? Because for me, I felt like it happened when I had certain teachers in my life that because they loved books so much, this goes back to the modeling, that it was like, oh my goodness, she loves that book. I have to love that book too. Other ideas?
Choice is big, right? We know that when we have choice, we are more inclined to follow through and read a book. So, providing kids with an opportunity at your public library to choose the book that they want to read. It could be a picture book, it could be a chapter book. It doesn't have to be something that a child can read with independence. it's something that you can read with your child. So, really encouraging choice in book selection will help to motivate a lot of children.
And I would say that idea of reading in the home and reading as a family. My own nephew is not a child that I would describe as an avid reader or someone for whom reading came easy, but it was always a routine from the time he was an infant to a toddler, and now he's 10, that there was reading before bedtime. And there was choice involved, as Lisa just mentioned. He could always pick out his book and he would, negotiate like one more book, one more book. And he just loved being read to. And now he's independent at 10, independently choosing audiobooks. And, sometimes he'll read independently without the audio. But I think it was, it all stemmed from that bedtime routine from a very young age of just being read to. And it wasn't necessarily about the book, but it was about the bonding time with the parent, or, when he got a guest reader because, Auntie Allie was there, or, an uncle or grandma or grandpa was there, whoever it was a special occasion if somebody else was there to read to him at bed. But that routine just became, I think, really special and important. And although he struggled to learn to read as a young child, now it's ingrained in him. And it's something that I think he's now seeking out independently.
I would just add that, that idea that reading is a shared experience doesn't necessarily go away as our students get older, and can be even more fun and joyful an experience as, your kids start to grow up and you can read grade level appropriate texts, but that are a little more interesting. One of our favorites was Holes by Louis Sekar, and just being able to pause it and react together and make predictions and ask questions. It allows a conversation that about things that you might not otherwise talk about as a family. We always think of these experiences happening when students are really young, but it doesn't have to go away as they grow up.
That's so true. Just thinking about my daughters, I often get texts from my oldest, Emily, and my middle, Molly, with recommendations for books that they recently read. And I do think that stems from that love of reading and choice.
And you're giving me a flashback to this is an example of not reading by choice. I remember sixth grade, a book I did not love was Julie of the Wolves. And so my mom and I read it together, just chapter, like handing the book back and forth. And sometimes that's what helps get you through.
Yep.
If you need to.
I actually loved that book.
That is not a surprise because we tend not to like the same fiction, especially. All right. So before we wrap up this segment, I want to ask, is there anything that's either on your summer reading list or something you've read recently that you would recommend to people?
One book we're going to read this summer is Project Hail Mary. As you know, the movie just came out, and both my kids saw it and thought it was amazing. And what I really love about the author, Andy Weir, is he incorporates the science and, it takes place in the future, but there's always a message of hope in his novels. So I'm really excited to read that alongside my kids this summer.
I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. When the books came out, I read them. Before every movie came out, I reread them. And Audible has recently released the audio versions of each one of the books, but with a full cast. There are sound effects, Keira Knightley voices, Dolores Jane Umbridge in one of the books. So I'm really excited to download the last one, The Deathly Hallows. And as I'm driving throughout the summer, I'll have Harry Potter on in the background.
How many times have you been through them? Is it multiple at this time?
Multiple at this point. It's kind of like that security blanket. When you don't have anything else to read, you go back to it.
I recently read Emperor of Gladness by Ocean Vuong. It's a really fun cast of characters in the book, and it's also set in Connecticut, so that's always fun when you have a local setting. Really fun fiction book to read. I also have a summer reading list packed with nonfiction for a graduate course that I'm starting, so I'm hoping to get some fiction back on my nightstand after that's over in August.
Excellent. For me, the one that I'd recommend is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. If you are an Audible person or like audiobooks, it's a great listen because the idea of the book, it actually is correspondence between the different characters in the story. So some of them are letters, some of them are emails, and the several readers in the book are just great, really expressive. Next on my list is Theo of Golden, which I don't know if you've heard about it, but everyone that's reading it, Alan Levi. So that's high on my list. All right, so this question is going to ask us to kind of reflect on our own childhoods. So think back to when we were kids and it was summer and we did not have the technology that is accessible now. What did an unplugged summer look like for you?
So for me, I grew up in Newington and I grew up on a cul-de-sac. And my summer was all the kids in the neighborhood outside playing with the most popular neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Laskowski. They would come outside, and at least once a week, we would play hide and seek across the neighborhood at night with flashlights, and they let it. So our summer was just games and being able to get into arguments and solve the problem right then and there, and create some really amazing memories that I still hold today.
It's great.
Yes, so I grew up in the Midwest, and I would say I was outside all day, and I don't know if my parents knew where I was. They couldn't track me like I can now with my own kids. And, depending on the day of the week, it could have been rollerblading or biking, playing neighborhood capture the flag. But I just look back and think about the joy each summer bring, and how every day looked different because of that.
It's fun.
I would say a lot of the same. The word free range comes to mind.
Mhm.
Just, not being allowed back in the house until the streetlights came on, that old cliche, but riding bikes around the neighborhood with all the neighborhood kids, going swimming in my neighbor's pool. We had neighborhood block parties a lot of the time. I remember having like egg tosses with raw eggs, and, the raw egg would smash on your head or in your hands when you would catch it. Definitely unplugged, definitely a lot more freedom than what I see, with our kids now, drinking out of the hose,
Oh, drinking out of the hose. That was the best water.
water balloon fights.
It was the best water on a hot day.
Yeah.
For me, I grew up on the Jersey Shore, which is a very, very fun place to grow up. We were very close to the beach. So I remember all day at the beach, every day that was possible. And then we'd go home and be in the pool. So lots of water for me. And yeah, the thought of TV, to date myself a little bit, I think there were only like 4 channels when I was a little kid. So there weren't the options, and the beach was a great alternative. Is there anything else you're doing this summer to unplug? So it doesn't have to be reading anything fun that's in the future.
So one of the things that I love to do is go camping, or I will call it glamping, in our camper. That's one thing I'm really looking forward to. And I'm also taking a trip to England with one of my best friends, and I'm hoping to go to the Harry Potter studio out there. So there's a little
There
theme
is a
there.
theme. Look at
Mhm.
that. All right. Anybody else?
This summer, I look forward to spending time with family. I grew up outside of Chicago, and so my family likes to come out and visit me out here on the East Coast over the summer and go to the beach and do all the Connecticut things, eat a lobster roll. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Very nice.
I am a lover of the beach, so I get there as often as I can, whether it's the Connecticut shoreline or going to Cape Cod. I have a annual Cape Cod trip with family, so I'll be out there with my niece and nephew, brother and sister-in-law. I'll be out there in July, taking a girls' trip up to Montreal. I've never been there, so that'll be fun exploring that city. No beach, but city. And I'm going down to visit friends in Wilmington, and we'll hit up that beach there.
Very nice. And I am unplugging in Germany and Amsterdam. So those are
Nice.
that's where I'm hoping to unplug. And in the spirit of unplugging, just an update for our people that are regular listeners, because when the year started with our cell phone ban for our middle school and high school students, I was trying to do something in solidarity to just support that. And I couldn't not use my phone because I need it for work. So I got rid of social media on my phone. And then I think it's 4 months ago now, I completely deleted my social media accounts other than LinkedIn. And so if you're looking to unplug, uh, removing social media from your life is, I endorse it. It's improved quality of life. And I like to say one of the best things is you talk to the people you want to talk to more as a result of not getting updates through social media. So good luck unplugging. Thank you all for being guests on this episode, and enjoy your summer.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Hi, my name is Heather Grattan, and I'm a school counselor at Washington Idiot School. I'm at Chatfield Hollow today, walking my dog. Usually I come here to go hiking, but I'm wearing a boot and can't really go into the woods. When I was a young girl, and one of the things I liked to do during the summer was roller skate in my driveway to Donna Summer. And then when I was done roller skating, I would sit on the porch with my best friend Dina, and we would play Rummy 500 and drink tea. Today, I don't roller skate, but I do like to hike in the woods, go for long walks. The other thing I really like to do is read. I have 2 reading recommendations. The first recommendation is called The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate. This is a great book, and it's a great book for families to read together. I would say it's probably ages 8 and up, but really adults, teens, anybody can read this book. And I think it would be a great family book to read together and talk. The other book I have to recommend is for adults. It's called The Frozen River, and it is by Ariel Lahan. It's a great read. It's a quick read. It's based on some facts about a river in Maine, and I really urge you to read it this summer. That's what I have for reading suggestions. Get out and play this summer and read, read, read.
Hey, Branford, it's Miss Mancini, the 5 through 12 World Language Department leader. I've got my summer reading stacked and ready to go. This looks like a large stack. I'll let you know here what I've got. So I think I'm going to start with this, the Nantucket Inn. I actually read 2 other Nantucket-based beach reads by Pamela Kelly, and I'm actually going to be going to the beach in Nantucket for a few days. So I think I'm going to start there. And then I actually got a recommendation from the lovely Miss McDougall at Walsh for Carly Fortune's new book, Our Perfect Storm. So I just picked that up. What else do we have? So I don't know if you've ever heard of Elin Hilderbrand, but usually she writes really great beach reads, but she did something really different this time. And this she wrote with her daughter, and it's supposed to be set in like a private school. So I think I'm going to try that. And you're probably wondering, am I reading anything about in Spanish or about anything Spanish? Well, of course, I'm going to read an Aztec guide to the art of gratitude. We learned about the Aztecs this year in Spanish 3. So I'm going to try this. This is really kind of neat. It just came out. It's a guide about how to be grateful. I'm going to give that a go.
My name is Karen Perricone, and I'm a kindergarten teacher at Tisco School. Thinking about my summers as a child, I always come back to the memories of just playing with my cousins outside all day, every day. My mom is a single mom, and so she would have to drop me off at either my grandmother's or my cousin's house every day. And we would literally just play outside all day long, swimming, biking, roller skating, swinging, just having fun. I think about when I first really got into reading, of course at school, but my mom had a second job as a single mom, and she worked at our local library, the Hageman Memorial Library in East Haven. And she just always had books, would bring in books, had books around, and just got me into reading at a young age. When I think about what I'm going to be reading for the summer, I always look forward to a new book that comes out each summer by Sherry Lapina. She writes some thrillers / mysteries. Always a good read. I've read all of her books, and there is a new one coming out in July. If you haven't read any of the Ellen Hildebrand books, she is my #1 beach read author. She's written several dozen books, and they all take place in Nantucket. My family and I go to Nantucket every summer for a short period of time for at least the past 30 years. My children love it. My husband loves it. And we just, when I read these books and they're set there, it just makes me think of some special memories with my family. If you have never been to Nantucket and you read any of Ellen's books, you will want to go there and you will love it just as much as I do. Nantucket is always a good idea. So read some of Ellen Hildebrand's books this summer if you haven't. Thanks. Happy reading.
Hi, everyone. I'm Vicki Climie. I'm a science teacher at Branford High School and currently the teacher of the year for the district for the year 25-26. Unplugged summers. Well, my summers growing up, I spent completely outside. We would turn the TV off and literally unplug it. It was gone for the summer. So what else are you going to do as a kid? I headed outside and spent as much time as I could out and in the outdoors. I did that up until I was 12. And then starting at 12, I started working on my neighbor's dairy farm. So again, still outside, and probably led to my love of animals and helped me become a science teacher. My summer read that I can't wait to get to this summer is this book, The Frozen River. It's a historical book based off of the diary of a midwife from the 1700s up in Maine. And she became quite a controversial subject in history. There's a monument up there just outside Augusta in her honor, near where I go on vacation every summer. So I'm excited to read the book, learn a little bit of medical stuff, which is related to my content, but really a little bit of history, and then visit that monument in my summertime. So can't wait. I hope you have a really good read lined up.
Hi, my name is Kari Isley and I teach 6th grade language arts at Walsh. I'm so excited to talk to you today about summer reading. Growing up, both of my parents were teachers, so I spent a lot of time reading. It was a really important part of our everyday life, and I read everywhere. I read camping, at the beach, at the pool, you name it. Today, one of my favorite places to read is here on my back deck, and sometimes I like to read in our treehouse with my daughters. I have 2 amazing reads to recommend for you. My book for kids is Walk 2 Moons by Sharon Creech. It's a story about Salamanca, who's on a mission to find her mother, and along the way she gets to see America and meet some really awesome characters. My recommendation for adults is Theo of Golden by Alan Levi, and I love this line from the back cover. It says, "This is a crafted novel about the power of creative generosity, the importance of wonder to a purposeful life, and the invisible threads of kindness that bind us to one another." It's just about how generosity, simple acts can change someone's life for the better. However you choose to read this summer, it's up to you. Maybe you like to read traditionally and just open your book and start reading. Maybe you want to read to someone, or maybe you want to have someone read to you. Maybe you want to listen on your phone or on your computer, or maybe you listen and follow along at the same time. However you choose to read, it doesn't matter. Just get out there and read, read, read. Have a really safe summer, and I'll see you in the fall. Bye.
I'm Liz Young, school counselor from Walsh Intermediate School. I'm here today at Stonington Point. I'm here standing in between the historic lighthouse and Watch Hill Point. Growing up, I loved going to the beach with my family. And as I started my own family, I loved the water even more, going boating and fishing with my husband and kids up the Connecticut River and into the Sound. Lighthouses are a guide, and they help us to navigate our paths. And as a leader and me coordinator, it's my passion to help the next generation with their own waters. And that's why today I'm here to recommend the book Grit by Angela Duckworth. She helps us understand that it's not just about talent, that it's not just about being the smartest person in the room. It's about effort, and how effort is twice as effective. It's about getting up every morning, day after day. Have a great summer, everyone. Thanks.
As we wrap up this episode of Hive Mind Headlines, we hope today's conversation serves as a reminder that summer doesn't always have to be filled with noise, schedules, and constant connection. Sometimes the most meaningful growth happens when we slow down. Whether it's spending more time outside, reconnecting with family and friends, putting devices away for a little while, or simply getting lost in a good book, unplugging creates space for curiosity, creativity, reflection, and joy. A huge thank you to our guests, Allie Moran, Lisa Hernandez Corcoran, and Dr. Katie Wagner, for sharing their insights, experiences, and summer reading recommendations. And thank you to the faculty and staff across the Branford Public Schools who shared how they plan to recharge and what they're reading this summer. To everyone listening, we encourage you to pick up a book, discover a new story, revisit an old favorite, and maybe even spend a little more time offline. Thank you for listening and supporting our schools. Until next time, stay hive-minded. Thanks for joining us on this journey and for being such an important part of what makes Branford an amazing place to live, learn, and grow. You can catch new episodes of Hive Mind Headlines on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and our district website at branfordschools.org. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to help others find the show. Let's celebrate all that makes Branford special.